I don't even know where to start with this mess. Been dating Leonard for just over 2 years, and everything seemed amazing between us. We rarely fought, had the same goals for the future, and he was always super attentive. We were even talking about moving in together this fall. I thought I'd finally found the one after years of dating disasters. Well, that fantasy came crashing down last Friday. I needed to look up a recipe, and my phone was dead, so I grabbed his laptop. When I opened it, his banking app was still logged in. I wasn't trying to snoop, but a recurring payment immediately caught my eye. What, $800 every month to someone named Addison rent? What, $800 every month to someone he had never mentioned? When Leonard got out of the shower, I asked him straight up who Addison was. The look on his face said everything. He got all quiet and weird, then asked why I wanted to know. I told him I saw the payment on his banking app. He sat down and admitted Addison is his ex-girlfriend from before we met. Apparently, he's been paying her entire rent for years, including our entire relationship. He swore they weren't romantically involved anymore, but were still close friends, and she needed financial support. I asked how often they talked. His answer? Almost daily. Daily contact with his ex for 2 years that he never once mentioned to me. When I asked if he ever planned to tell me about this arrangement, he had the nerve to say he didn't think it was relevant to our relationship since it was just financial support for a friend. Just financial support? That's over $43,000 he's given her during our relationship. The worst part? He'd sometimes claim he was tight on money when we discussed future plans or vacations. We even split the bill on dates half the time because he said it was more equal that way. Meanwhile, he was sending his ex nearly $2,000 monthly. I felt like such an idiot. I told him to get out of my apartment immediately. He kept trying to explain, saying I was overreacting and that there was context I didn't understand. I didn't care what the context was. Hiding a relationship with an ex for 2 years while financially supporting her was all I needed to know. After he left, my phone blew up with texts from him. Dozens of messages about how I misunderstood everything, how he should have told me sooner, how it wasn't what it looked like. I blocked his number that night. The next day, this man had the audacity to show up at my workplace with flowers. I refused to talk to him and told him to leave or I'd call security. My coworkers were all staring, but I didn't care. He finally left when my manager stepped in. That night, he texted me with some long explanation that I deleted without reading. Then he started contacting my friends, trying to get them to convince me to talk to him. Thankfully, they all told him to back off. For the next week, I just focused on processing everything. I went through our relationship in my head, looking for signs I might have missed. There were definitely times when he was weirdly protective of his phone or would step out to take calls. I'd brush these off because I trusted him. What an idiot I was. I talked to my closest friends, who all agreed I'd made the right call, ending things immediately. My friend Samantha even said she'd always thought Leonard seemed too perfect and wondered if something was off. Great observation after the fact, Sam. The only person who didn't immediately take my side was my sister Holly. When I told her what happened, she hesitated and asked if I was sure I had the whole story. She suggested that maybe there was a legitimate reason for the arrangement that I hadn't given Leonard a chance to explain. I reminded her that regardless of the reason, he'd hidden this major financial and emotional commitment from me for 2 years. That was unforgivable. But after 3 weeks of no contact, Holly's words kept coming back to me. What if there was more to the story? Not that it would change my decision to break up with him, but maybe it would help me understand how I'd been so completely fooled. I unblocked Leonard's number and immediately received several new messages from him. The most recent one simply asked if we could meet in person so he could explain everything. He said he had documentation that would make things clearer. Documentation? What kind of explanation needs documentation? Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him tomorrow at a coffee shop near my apartment. I made it clear this wasn't about reconciliation. I just wanted closure. Now I'm sitting here wondering if I'm making a huge mistake even giving him the chance to explain. Part of me wants to cancel, but another part needs to know the full truth. At minimum, I want to understand how someone I thought I knew so well could lead such a double life. So Reddit? Am I being stupid for agreeing to meet with him? Should I just move on without closure? Has anyone been in a similar situation where there actually was a legitimate explanation for something like this? Also, should I ask for his ex's contact info so I can hear her side of the story? I'm not even sure if she knows about me. I'll update after our meeting tomorrow. Thanks in advance for any advice. First update. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I read every single comment and really appreciated all the support and advice. A lot of you predicted this would be some kind of crazy situation, and well, you weren't wrong. I met with Leonard yesterday as planned. Holly came with me and sat at a nearby table like many of you suggested. I was a nervous wreck all morning, couldn't eat, couldn't focus on anything. When I got to the coffee shop, Leonard was already there waiting. I sat down and told him he had 30 minutes to explain himself. No interruptions from me, just one chance to tell me everything. He thanked me for coming and immediately pulled out a folder. A folder. Who brings a folder to a coffee shop conversation? He said he wanted to show me documentation so I would understand the full situation. The first thing he showed me was medical records for Addison. Apparently, she has multiple sclerosis that was diagnosed about 5 years ago. According to Leonard, her condition has gotten progressively worse over the last few years, making it difficult for her to work full-time. He started helping with her rent when her symptoms first made it hard for her to keep her job. I asked why he never mentioned this to me. Even if they were just friends now, helping someone with a chronic illness seems like something you'd tell your serious girlfriend about. His answer? Previous girlfriends had left him when they found out about his ongoing financial commitment to Addison. He was afraid of losing me the same way, so he kept putting off telling me until it became harder and harder to explain the deception. I told him that was complete bullshit. If multiple women had left him over this same issue, that should have been a sign that maybe being honest from the start was the right approach. The fact that he kept making the same mistake with relationship after relationship showed that he knew exactly what he was doing. Leonard admitted I was right, that he'd handled everything terribly. He said he'd genuinely fallen in love with me and was afraid of ruining things. The longer our relationship went on, the harder it became to come clean because he knew I'd react exactly as I did. I asked him point blank how often he actually saw Addison in person. This is where it got even more messed up. He visits her about once a month. All those business trips and college friend reunions were actually visits to see her. Every single one was a lie. At this point, I was ready to walk out. The depth of his deception was just too much, but he asked me to wait, saying there was something else I needed to know. He pulled out another document from his folder. It was an insurance form listing dependents. Addison was listed, but so was someone named Ben. When I asked who Ben was, Leonard got really quiet, then said, "He's my son." A son? A child? That he never once mentioned in 2 years together? I couldn't even speak. Leonard explained that Ben is 6 years old. He and Addison had already broken up when she found out she was pregnant. They tried to make it work for a while after Ben was born, but ultimately decided they weren't compatible as a couple. When Addison was diagnosed with MS a year later, Leonard promised to support them financially. I asked how involved he was in his son's life. He admitted he only sees Ben during those monthly visits. He doesn't even talk to him on the phone between visits because he thought I might overhear. This made me furious. He was neglecting his relationship with his child to maintain his lies to me. I asked Leonard directly if Addison knew about me. He claimed she did, that he told her about our relationship early on. I don't know whether to believe this or not. He's proven himself to be a pretty effective liar. By this point, Holly had noticed our conversation was getting intense and moved to a closer table. I was grateful for her presence because I was feeling completely overwhelmed. I told Leonard I needed to process everything and left. Holly followed me out and we went straight to her apartment where I basically fell apart. Finding out about Addison was bad enough, but discovering he has a child he hid from me, that's on another level entirely. Holly was as shocked as I was. She had encouraged me to hear him out, but even she hadn't expected something this major. She asked what I planned to do now, and honestly, I still don't know. I spent all last night thinking about this situation from every angle. The fact that Leonard is supporting his child and his child's mother, who has a serious illness, makes the financial arrangement more understandable. But the deception is still massive. What kind of person lies about being a father? What kind of father only sees his child once a month and pretends he doesn't exist the rest of the time? The more I think about it, the more troubled I am by Leonard's behavior toward his son. This morning, I woke up to more texts from Leonard asking if we could talk again. He said there's still more to the situation that I need to understand. I ignored his texts and decided to do some digging on my own. I searched for Addison on social media and found her on Instagram. Her account is public, with lots of pictures of her and a little boy who looks exactly like Leonard. Seeing those photos made everything so much more real. As I scrolled through her posts, I noticed something strange. There were several photos of her with another man, someone named Edwin according to the captions. They looked very coupley, with captions like "date night with my love" and "3 years with this amazing man." I kept scrolling and found posts where she tagged Edwin as Ben's bonus dad and talked about how much he helps with Ben's care and how blessed they are to have him in their lives. This makes no sense. If she has a serious boyfriend who's involved in Ben's life, why is Leonard still paying her entire rent? I called Holly to tell her what I'd found, and she immediately came over to look at the posts with me. We found one from about 8 months ago where Addison announced that she and Edwin had gotten engaged. Yet Leonard never mentioned this and has continued paying her rent the entire time. Holly suggested that maybe Edwin doesn't make enough money to support them, especially with Addison's medical bills. But something doesn't add up. If Leonard is only seeing his son once a month, and Addison has a fiancé who's actively involved in Ben's life, why is Leonard still supporting them so extensively? I'm starting to wonder if there's more to Leonard and Addison's relationship than he's admitting. Is it possible they're still involved romantically despite her engagement to Edwin? Or is Leonard being manipulated somehow? I'm tempted to reach out to Addison directly, but I'm not sure if that's crossing a line. She might not even know who I am if Leonard has been lying to her too. Holly thinks I should meet with Leonard one more time to confront him with what I've found and get the full story. I agreed to meet Leonard tomorrow. I'm bringing printouts of Addison's social media posts to confront him with. I want to know exactly what his relationship is with Addison, why he's still fully supporting her financially when she has a fiancé, and most importantly, why he thought it was okay to hide his son from me for 2 years. I'll update again after I meet with Leonard tomorrow. Right now, I'm just trying to prepare myself for whatever new bombshell he might drop. Edit. So many comments already. Thanks for the support, everyone. To answer some common questions. Yes, I verified that Addison's MS diagnosis is real based on the medical documents Leonard showed me. The dates and details seemed legitimate. Several people have suggested that Leonard might be hiding even more children or secret families. I honestly don't think that's the case. He genuinely seems devastated about our breakup. But then again, I clearly didn't know him as well as I thought. To those asking why I don't just walk away, I probably should, but I can't help wanting answers. This relationship was serious for me. We talked about marriage and children. Finding out he already has a child he hid from me is something I need to fully understand before I can move on. Many of you are suggesting Addison might be blackmailing Leonard or that their child might not actually be his. These are possibilities I hadn't considered, but I'm not jumping to conclusions yet. I want to hear what he has to say about the fiancé situation first. Yes, Holly will be with me again tomorrow as backup. We're meeting in the same public coffee shop. Edit 2. A few people have pointed out that I might be focusing too much on the financial aspect and not enough on the fact that Leonard abandoned his parental responsibilities. You're absolutely right. Whatever his arrangement with Addison, the fact that he was willing to minimize his relationship with his own child just to maintain our relationship is deeply disturbing. What kind of father does that? Edit 3. To the people suggesting I'm overreacting and should give Leonard another chance because he was just trying to protect his family, are you serious? He lied about having a child for 2 years, while seriously dating someone he claimed to want a future with. That's not protecting anyone. That's selfish and manipulative. Second update. I'm back with another update, and somehow this situation keeps getting more complicated. So I met with Leonard yesterday as planned. Holly came with me again and sat at a table nearby. I brought printouts of Addison's Instagram posts showing her relationship with Edwin, ready to confront Leonard about why he's still financially supporting his ex when she clearly has a fiancé. When I arrived, Leonard already had his folder of evidence out again. Before I could even bring up what I'd found, he launched into more explanations about his arrangement with Addison. He said he wanted to clarify some things from our last conversation. I cut him off and put the Instagram printouts on the table. His face when he saw the pictures of Addison and Edwin together was complicated. He didn't look surprised exactly, more like resigned. I asked him point blank why he never mentioned that Addison has been in a serious relationship with another man for 3 years and is now engaged. If Edwin is playing bonus dad to Ben, why is Leonard still paying their entire rent? Leonard was quiet for a minute, then explained that Edwin isn't financially stable. Apparently he's some kind of struggling musician who barely makes enough to support himself, let alone Addison and Ben. Leonard claimed he continues paying the rent because he wants Ben to have a stable home environment, especially with Addison's health issues. I asked why he couldn't just pay child support like a normal divorced parent instead of covering their entire housing cost. His answer was that traditional child support wouldn't be enough given Addison's medical needs and inability to work full-time. He said he and Addison had worked out this arrangement years ago, and Edwin knew about it when he got involved with her. This explanation made some logical sense, but still didn't justify hiding everything from me. I told Leonard as much, and he agreed. He admitted that he'd handled everything terribly and that keeping his son a secret was inexcusable. Then he dropped another bombshell. The real reason he only sees Ben once a month isn't just because of our relationship, it's because Addison has limited his access to Ben. According to Leonard, when Addison first got sick, she became extremely protective of Ben and worried about Leonard taking him away from her if she became unable to care for him properly. She basically told Leonard she would only accept his financial help if he agreed to limited visitation on her term. Leonard was so worried about Addison and Ben's stability that he agreed. Over time, this arrangement became more entrenched. When Edwin entered the picture, Addison became even more restrictive about Leonard's involvement. Leonard showed me text messages from the past year where he repeatedly asked to see Ben more often or have him stay overnight, and Addison kept making excuses or outright refusing. I asked why he didn't fight for more access to his son through the courts. He said he was afraid that if he pushed back legally, Addison might completely cut him off from Ben or move away. He also worried that the stress of a custody battle would worsen her MS symptoms, so he kept paying the rent and accepting the minimal visitation to maintain peace. He pulled out a small notebook from his folder and handed it to me. It was filled with drawings, notes, and little stories, a journal he's been keeping of every interaction with Ben since he was born. Alongside the entries were photos of them together at various ages. Seeing this hit me hard. Leonard might have hidden Ben from me, but he clearly cares deeply about his son. The journal entries were heartbreaking, full of things Ben had said or done during their limited time together, and Leonard's hopes for their future relationship. There were also notes about gifts he'd sent, phone calls they'd had when Addison allowed it, and milestones he'd missed. I asked Leonard why he showed me this. He said he wanted me to understand that while he made the terrible mistake of hiding Ben from me, he wasn't a father who abandoned his child. He was trying to navigate an impossible situation where maintaining financial support and limited access seemed better than risking no relationship at all. By this point, I was completely overwhelmed. I told Leonard I needed to step outside for some air. Holly noticed and followed me. We sat on a bench outside the coffee shop while I tried to make sense of everything. Holly pointed out something I hadn't considered. What if Leonard was being manipulated? The arrangement he described sounded potentially coercive. Addison essentially holding access to his child hostage in exchange for financial support. While that didn't excuse Leonard lying to me, it painted his situation in a different light. After talking with Holly, I went back inside. I told Leonard I needed to understand the full picture, which meant I wanted to speak with Addison directly. I half expected him to panic at this suggestion, but instead he seemed relieved. He said he'd been hoping I would want to talk to her. as it might help me understand the complexity of the situation. He offered to set up a meeting, but I declined. If I was going to talk to Addison, I wanted to do it without Leonard's involvement. I asked for her phone number instead. Leonard hesitated, then gave it to me, saying he would text her to let her know I might contact her. I left the coffee shop feeling more confused than ever. Hiding a child from your serious partner for 2 years isn't something you just get over. When I got home, I debated whether to actually contact Addison. What would I even say? "Hi, I'm your ex's girlfriend who just found out about you and your son." It felt incredibly awkward, but I needed to hear her side of the story. I finally worked up the courage and texted her that evening, introducing myself and asking if we could talk. To my surprise, she responded almost immediately, saying she'd been expecting to hear from me. We arranged to meet the following afternoon, today, at a different coffee shop closer to her neighborhood. I was a nervous wreck all morning. Holly offered to come with me again, but I decided this was something I needed to do alone. When I arrived at the coffee shop, I immediately recognized Addison from her photos. Thin, pale, but still beautiful. She was alone, thankfully. I wasn't ready to meet Ben or Edwin. Our conversation was intense. Addison confirmed much of what Leonard had told me, but with some critical differences. Yes, she has MS. Yes, Leonard pays their rent. Yes, Edwin is her fiancé and has been in her life for 3 years. But according to Addison, Leonard's limited access to Ben was his choice, not hers. She claimed she's repeatedly invited him to be more involved in Ben's life, but Leonard always had excuses about work or other commitments. She showed me texts where she invited Leonard to Ben's school events, or offered additional weekend visits that he declined. These were from the exact same time period as the texts Leonard showed me, where he was supposedly begging for more time with Ben. The contradicting evidence left me completely confused. One of them is lying. But which one? Addison also claimed that while Leonard did tell her he was dating someone new, he said it wasn't serious and asked her not to mention me if we ever happened to meet. This directly contradicts Leonard's claim that she knew how serious our relationship was. The most disturbing part came when I asked about the financial arrangement. Addison said Leonard originally offered the rent payments when she was first diagnosed, which matches his story. But she claims she's tried to reduce his financial obligations several times, especially since meeting Edwin, but Leonard insists on maintaining the arrangement. According to Addison, Leonard has told her repeatedly that he wants to provide this level of support and would be hurt if she rejected it. She admitted the money has been essential, especially with her medical bills, but said she's become increasingly uncomfortable with their arrangement, as her relationship with Edwin has gotten more serious. When I asked why Edwin doesn't contribute more financially, Addison confirmed he's a musician with limited income, but said he does contribute what he can. She seemed embarrassed talking about their financial situation, which felt genuine to me. By the end of our conversation, I was even more confused than before. Either Leonard is manipulating both me and Addison, or Addison is manipulating Leonard and now trying to manipulate me too. Or maybe they're both lying about certain aspects of the situation. I left the meeting with Addison feeling completely drained. On my way home, I got a text from Leonard asking how things went with Addison. I didn't respond. I needed time to process everything. When I got home, I found a package waiting at my door. It was from Leonard, a USB drive with a note saying it contained additional evidence I should review. I plugged it in and found years of text exchanges between Leonard and Addison, plus more text conversations, financial records, and even recorded phone calls, which I'm not sure are even legal. I've spent all evening going through these records, and they paint yet another picture of the situation. In some exchanges, Addison does seem to be restricting Leonard's access to Ben. In others, Leonard appears to be the one limiting involvement. The financial discussions show both of them alternatively pushing for more or less support at different times. I honestly don't know what to believe anymore. Both Leonard and Addison seem to be manipulating the narrative to suit themselves. The only innocent party in all of this is Ben, who's caught in the middle of whatever game these two are playing. I texted Holly everything I discovered, and she's coming over tomorrow to help me sort through it all. She thinks I should confront Leonard with the contradicting evidence and see how he responds. I've agreed to meet Leonard one final time tomorrow evening. After that, regardless of what he says, I think I need to remove myself from this mess completely. I'll update after our final meeting. Thank you all for your support through this crazy situation. Edit. So many questions in the comments. I'll try to address the most common ones. Yes, I confirmed Addison really does have MS. The medical documents seemed legitimate, and she mentioned specific treatments and symptoms that would be hard to fake. Many of you have suggested that Leonard and Addison might still be romantically involved. I considered this too, but after meeting Addison and seeing her with Edwin in photos, and her obvious affection when talking about him, I don't think that's the case. Several people have suggested that Leonard might be Ben's sugar daddy rather than his actual father. I don't think that's the case. Ben looks exactly like Leonard, and both Leonard and Addison acknowledge the paternity. To those saying I should just walk away, you're probably right. But after 2 years of building a life with someone, it's hard to just leave without understanding what happened. Edit 2. Meeting Leonard in a few hours. I'm bringing all the evidence from both sides and demanding straight answers. We'll update tomorrow. Last update. Hey Reddit, final update on this whole mess. Thanks everyone for your support through all this craziness. I met Leonard last night for what I decided would be our last talk. Holly came along but stayed in her car outside. Wanted to do this myself but have someone nearby just in case. I brought all the evidence, Addison's texts, Leonard's texts, all their different stories, and that message where he straight up asked her to back up his story. When Leonard showed up, I put everything on the table and told him I wanted the full truth. No more BS or leaving stuff out. Told him this was his last chance to come clean. He sat there quiet for a while, then finally admitted he hadn't been honest with me or Addison. So here's what was really going on. Leonard and Addison never really ended things properly after breaking up. All that money he was giving wasn't just to help Ben and his sick ex. It was his way of staying involved in their lives. By being their money source, he made sure Addison couldn't move on completely, even with Edwin around. And Addison? She used Ben as a bargaining chip, sometimes letting Leonard see him, sometimes not, to keep the money coming. They've both been playing each other for years, each using what the other cares about to get what they want. About those weird contradicting texts, Leonard admitted he sometimes turned down chances to see Ben on purpose so he could complain later about not getting access, making Addison look bad. Meanwhile, she'd invite him to stuff knowing he couldn't come because of plans with me, so she could act like she was trying while still keeping him away. When I asked why he hid all this from me, he said his exes always left when they found out, and told him to get proper custody and stop the money situation. He didn't want to hear that again, because this messed up arrangement gave him some kind of purpose he wasn't ready to give up. The worst part was about Ben. Leonard does love his kid, but he's been using him in this power game with Addison. Him barely seeing Ben wasn't just about hiding him from me. It was how things were long before I came along. He likes the idea of being Ben's dad more than actually doing the dad stuff. I told Leonard I'm completely done with their drama, suggested he get therapy for his issues with Addison and his approach to being a father, told him to get legal custody and support arrangements for Ben's sake. He started crying and begging for another chance, promising to fix everything. Too late, though. Trust is gone, and honestly, I don't want any part of their mess. I deserve better than getting caught up in someone else's family drama. I texted Addison after to say I wouldn't contact her again, wished her luck with her health and engagement to Edwin, and hoped they'd find a better way to parent Ben. She just said thanks and sorry about everything. For those saying I should give him another chance because he was supporting his family, it wasn't that simple. The whole situation was just toxic and would have ruined any future we tried to build. To those asking if I'll check on Ben, nope, don't think that's my place. Feel bad for the kid, but getting involved now would just add more drama to his already complicated life.